From presenting his signature WWE-style call-out to McGregor to a decisive and vicious victory over Tony Ferguson at UFC 274, Michael Chandler has some opinions about his upcoming fight with McGregor. So, is the Irishman scared of him? Well, Chandler definitely doesn't think so. The entire thing went down during a recent Q&A session on Twitter. One fan made a gutsy move and questioned Chandler why McGregor was scared of him. Apparently, the former Bellator champion gave a stern reply. "It's crisp and short, you guys. He's definitely not," said the tweet. You see, the Dubliner seems to be open to fighting Chandler or Iron in the near future. With that said, despite what Chandler thinks, there are a bunch of reasons why Conor could be afraid of him.
Very nice straight left. Just miss. Conor with some beautiful boxing.
After all, he is a pretty formidable opponent, so Chandler basically presented his signature WWE-style call-out to the Irishman. This was right after his vicious KO victory over poor Tony back at UFC 274. I should also mention that the Iron managed to earn a shot at the UFC lightweight title. This happened because of a brutal KO win he managed over Dan Hooker on his UFC debut. Yeah, this man is no joke. I can totally see him destroying a man who's been on hiatus for 2 years.
There's a big right hand by Chandler. Another big right hand, and here he's just teeing off against the cage.
I guess it's pretty unfortunate, though, that the former Bellator champion came up short against Charles Oliveira. But the big question now is, what's Chandler got that Conor doesn't? Well, I'd say that his fitness should be at the top of the list. Just look at the facts. Who will be fitter in a match? Someone who's been in and out of fights and getting in lots of practice? Or someone who broke his leg for 2 years and has been sitting tight ever since? Don't get me wrong, Conor sure has been putting in the time and working out, but that doesn't really translate into fighting experience, right?
I was talking about said the first couple shots are going to come heavy, later they won't be so heavy. Big right hand by Khabib.
If you just look at Chandler, you'll know what I'm talking about. Now, this guy is a pretty well-rounded fighter. Sure, he's had his own problems, but notice that he's aggressive, fast-paced, and speedy.
He needed this. Big takedown. Big takedown. Chandler needed it.
And not to mention the fact that he's an explosive grappler with some heavy hands. I wouldn't want to be in the way of this man's mean left hook. There's also the matter of his absolutely devastating ground and pound game, plus that large overhand right. That's not it though, because if there's anything else Conor should worry about, it's Chandler's cardio. The Dubliner may be working out and trying to gain stamina, but it seems like he's just gaining muscle. On the other hand, you've got Chandler. This guy had never had any problems with cardio. He's not only durable, but his explosiveness is probably the biggest thing to watch out for.
And returns. Oh, tagged him with that. Oh, they're in the pocket. Oh my goodness.
He's always shown in the past that tiring him out is not the best strategy to go with. No, you're only going to tire yourself out. But what else? I'd say his accomplishments are also quite intimidating.
Something to the referee.
I think he complained about maybe a finger in the glove.
So just looking at his notable victories should scare old Conor out of his mind. Let's see. He's won twice against former UFC lightweight champion Benson Henderson.
Is in the blue gloves, the former 3-time lightweight champion Michael Chandler in the red glove.
Then there's also the victory against UFC lightweight Dan Hooker. I'm also going to bring up his fight against Eddie Alvarez, another former UFC lightweight champion. And I'm still not done. Like, think about the 2 times that he won against the Bellator fighter Patricky Freire. Now think about his record, which is also super impressive. He has a 22-6, and the losses are to a few of the best. The list quite justifies the losses, actually. I mean, there's the former Bellator 2-divisional champion Patricio Pitbull. He also lost to Eddie Alvarez. Then Will Brooks as well. Of course, I should mention the current UFC lightweight champion, even if it's unofficial. Not to mention Charles Oliveira and Brent Primus. I don't know if you've noticed, but Michael has also won matches against some of these guys. And these are pretty big names. He's not lost to a single small fry. I'm going to have to argue that he's definitely one of the best best lightweights on the planet. But there is one stain on his almost perfect record. After all, he just lost to Charles in a pretty brutal match. Let me catch you up. So he lost via second-round KO. In fact, it happened right after he dropped Du Bronx in the opening frame at UFC 26. Basically, Chandler went ahead and dropped a unanimous decision against Justin Gaethje back at UFC 268. So the Missouri native managed to bounce back with a fantastic front kick KO over poor El Cucuy. But on the other hand, McGregor hasn't really been in the game either. He's been out of commission for a year actually. His fight with Dustin Poirier ended with a broken leg in 2 places. Ouch. You see, there had been this back and forth stream of trash talk between the two for a while. Conor got pretty crude and made some indecent comments about Dustin's wife. I guess that rage ended up spilling over inside the ring, so Conor got pretty banged up as a result. Now, people have been kind of excited to see his return 2 years after that unsightly affair. And the biggest reason to start getting nervous is that Conor McGregor has actually announced who his new opponent is going to be, and it's none other than Michael Chandler himself. Yep, Conor actually announced his return to the octagon, and he also said it would take place against none other than Chandler himself. Didn't this just get a whole lot more interesting? So the two of them happen to be filming UFC's latest installment of the Ultimate Fighter series right now in Las Vegas. Both of them will be in opposite camps, coaching their fighters. In fact, it's gotten so tense that the emotions are threatening to spill over on set. Yep, these two actually got involved in a number of spats because of their differences. Despite Conor's reputation though, and the way he acted with Dustin, he's actually taken a pretty cool stance about the situation. He's saying that things aren't actually tense between him and Chandler. In fact, they're just rivals, and such moments are natural. Conor added that he still has respect for Chandler, who's also his next opponent. But just when things seemed chill, Conor ended up saying this: "I'm still going to mince him," were the words of the Dubliner, as he spoke about his relationship with Chandler. Okay, maybe that's not so bad. I mean, as far as trash talk goes, especially when it comes to Conor, things could be worse. Like, this is the same guy who once threatened to murder Dustin and his family in their beds. In the meantime, Chandler has taken a completely different take. Yep, he's saying that he no longer likes McGregor. That's right. With all these new differences popping up, Chandler no longer likes Conor all that much. This is despite the fact that previously, Michael used to have a lot of fondness for the Irishman. I'm going to go ahead and say it. How awkward is this whole deal? I guess things still are in the realm of decency and politeness, because Chandler added that Conor has a lot of respect for the purity of MMA. And don't forget, Michael also mentioned that he doesn't think Conor is afraid of him. So there is definitely a degree of respect involved. We all know that trash talk can get pretty crass and downright disrespectful, but these two are still keeping it relatively classy. Let's see how Chandler does on his plans to rain on Conor's parade. I think no matter the outcome of this showdown, fans are still going to lap up the UFC's biggest star's comeback fight despite his form lately. This was all about Conor McGregor being scared of Michael Chandler.